So I remember when I first got my Xbox Series X, one of the first things I played on it was something called Bright Memory. And essentially, I guess this was a tech demo sort of for the Xbox Series X. It was free on Game Pass, and it was kind of short. It was like 25 minutes long, and everyone was like, oh, this isn't the full version of the game. It's just sort of a prologue, a sampler, and then the full version's gonna come out. And I was like, oh, okay. And, you know, it had its moments. It looked kind of good. I thought the gameplay was interesting enough if they could refine it. And then I just kind of stopped paying attention to the game. And Bright Memory actually came out with the full version of the game called Bright Memory Infinite. It's done by one dude, which, I mean, I don't necessarily give a game a pass because only one person is behind it. I'm a one-man operation, but I can respect it. I can respect the stubbornness and hard-headedness that sort of comes along with that because you want to be the only dude making it. You want full control over it. So Bright Memory Infinite, the full version of the game, has now come out. And surprisingly, it just wasn't a next-gen console sort of game that was available on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. It also came out on the Nintendo Switch too, and curiosity kills the cat sometimes, and I'm the type of person where if a multi-platform game comes out on the Nintendo Switch, I like to check it out. I like to see how they managed to fit the game onto the Nintendo Switch and how it sort of compares to the other versions of the game. So I spent my $20 and purchased Bright Memory Infinite, and I have some things to say about it because there's honestly a lot of things that I surprisingly like about this game, but there's one major problem with it that kind of ruins the whole experience. So story-wise, I don't know what the hell is going on here. You play as a chick named Shelia, something like that. Just call her Sheila. Oh, Sheila, let me until the morning comes. Basically, she's like some sort of spy, infiltrator, something. I don't know. There's weird shit going on. There's a black hole that you have to investigate. Weird stuff is happening. Whatever. You know, the story never really reeled me in because I kind of approached this game as sort of like an over-the-top action movie. And that's a motif that going throughout this whole video, you'll quickly see that it's pretty much an over-the-top action movie. So at its crux, it's a first-person shooter. And right off the bat, I have to say, the visual style of this game really hits with me. I enjoy games in this visual style, sort of like Crysis and stuff like that. And this game, surprisingly, especially for a one-dude operation, looks really damn good. Like, this is one of the better-looking Nintendo Switch games on the platform. It doesn't run at 60 frames per second, but it's pretty much a solid 30 frames per second. And it's very fast. It's very fluid. There's lots of crazy stuff happening. There's lots of weather effects going on. Everything just has a very high level of polish, especially considering a Nintendo Switch version of the game is what we're playing here. All of this footage is from the Switch version, and I mean, just looking at it, it looks pretty damn good. And now, of course, graphics don't really matter if the game itself isn't fun, and I will say, I think the game itself ended up being pretty fun. I felt like in the initial thing that I played on the Xbox Series X, it was just kind of convoluted. There was a lot of things going on and none of them really felt right. But in this game, it feels like they sort of reined in the gameplay mechanics of the game and made sort of like a pseudo ninja first-person shooter style game. Besides just the guns that you pick up throughout the levels, you also get different things like different ammunition for the guns, and there's a lot of hand-to-hand combat as well. You can parry enemy attacks with a blade, you could slice up enemies with a blade. Going back to sort of the graphic stuff, these enemies will like get dismembered and stuff. Like, you'll see limbs flying all over the place, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. You know, I like it. You have a bunch of ways to traverse through the levels, such as a grappling hook that allows you to clear long distances. You can do a bit of a wall run. You could do a dodge. You can do a slide, and you could incorporate all of that into your gameplay as far as the combat is concerned to make a really fun and satisfying experience. I really liked using the blades quite a bit because you can do a lot of different things in it. There's also a skill tree in the game that allows you to level up your blades and level up your weapons and give you different attacks and stuff. So everything as the game progresses, it feels very natural. It feels very fluid, and I like that about the game. It doesn't really, you know, sort of become monotonous as far as what you could do because of things like the skill tree that allow you to access more stuff. And just besides the over-the-top action gameplay that's pretty prevalent in this game, you also have like some other stuff thrown in. There's like a stealth mechanic that's also incorporated into the game as well, where there's like an area where you can only go through with stealth that I thought was pretty fun. You know, it has a little warning meter where enemies can see you and track you and stuff like that. It's nothing groundbreaking or anything like that, but it does help break up the gameplay in a bit, where it's kind of like a bit of a breather from this over-the-top action sort of stuff. I really like the overall gameplay of this game. You know, when I first played it on the Xbox Series X, there was a lot of things going on, and none of them really felt very fluid. None of them felt intuitive. Whereas with this, it's like, it's very nice. Everything just flows together once you sort of get the controls of the game. There's big boss battles as well, with like big creatures and stuff. There's like weird stuff like medieval ninjas and stuff like that, like medieval warriors alongside of these other people that are trying to shoot you. There's a lot of stuff going on with this game. It's kind of like an ADD sort of game, where it's like there's just a bunch of shit thrown in, but I think everything that they threw in works really well. So what's the problem with the game? I'm enjoying the gameplay. The graphics look phenomenal for a Nintendo Switch game. Well, there's a major problem with this game. It's like when you pick up your first relic that allows you to upgrade your stuff in the game, you're constantly on a downslope from them. And that downslope is the game is going to end very, very soon. Okay, this game, I sat down and played it, and you know, I was like, wow, this is really fun. I wonder how long it's going to take me. It took me about 2 hours. And that's not rushing through anything. That's not, you know, trying to get through anything really fast. That's not, you know, playing on the easiest difficulty. There's a couple different difficulties. I played on the medium difficulty, which I believe was called Violent. This isn't me rushing or anything. I died a few times, and the game took me around two hours to beat. And that's a major drawback for a variety of reasons. First off, it's a $20 game. 20 bucks for 2 hours. You know, it depends how you value your time. It depends on how you, you know, sort of view that sort of thing. But I think that the problem that really bothers me about this game is that at that 2 hour plus mark, you're just getting into the groove. Like, you're finally unlocking all of these cool abilities. You're finally getting all these cool different mechanics that you could do. And then the game just ends. It's like I'm finally, you know, into it. I'm dodging, I'm parrying, I'm shooting people, I'm doing this, that, and the other, and it's over. It's over. You know, this game kind of reminds me a lot of The Conduit on the Wii, which I was a huge fan of that game. And I thought The Conduit was just a really cool game because it had a graphical style that you didn't really see all that much on the Wii. It was a very high polished looking game that came from essentially a small studio known as High Voltage Studio and was then published by Sega. And I definitely get those sort of vibes from this because I feel like whoever this individual is, I don't know their name, they need a little help. Like, they need a little help to make a bigger, more fleshed out game, a longer experience, because they're obviously very talented. They made a very fun combat system. They made a game that looks great and literally is one of the better looking games on the Nintendo Switch. But could you imagine, like, this person with more of a budget, with more of a team helping him to make a bigger game? Because the groundwork is there for this game. It's really fun. You know, it combines a bunch of different elements and makes for a really fun experience. But you know, as you get into it, as you sort of sink your teeth into it, and you're having fun, and you're dodging, you're parrying, you're shooting, you're switching your weapons on the fly, the game's just like, okay, thanks for playing, it's over. And man, you know, another little nitpick I have is a lot of the environments do look pretty similar. But once again, that sort of just goes back to the point that it's just one dude making this. It's like, reach out for help, homie. Like, you are talented. You are a talented individual. You have the groundwork for a phenomenal game, a fun first-person shooter with ninja mechanics and wall running and slicing and stuff. Make it more fleshed out. Make it more fleshed out, because if you do, you've got a hit on your hands. As it stands now, though, I don't know. If you're just hankering for a new first-person shooter experience, you like looking at very pretty-looking games, you know, maybe check it out. You know, if you got some coins from buying other Nintendo Switch games digitally, you know, maybe go down that route, use your coins on this game. Otherwise, though, you know, it just kind of depends. Do you mind paying 20 bucks for a really fun action movie? If not, then you'll probably have no problem with it. But just for me personally, I just felt the game should have been longer. And it's not even necessarily the length. It's just that you get into the mood, you get into into the flow of the game, and then it just comes to sort of an abrupt end. So let me know in the comments section down below if you've played Bright Memory Infinite on your Nintendo Switch, and if not, if you plan on picking it up, because, you know, it's not bad. Like, there's a lot of good things about it. It's just, oh man, I wish it was more fleshed out. I wish it was longer. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit that bell notification as well. Like I said, Bright Memory Infinite is available on other platforms. I just like to check out Nintendo Switch versions of the game because I'm morbidly curious to see how they ended up presenting this game on the platform. And, you know, damn, you're a talented dude, man. Just reach out, get a little help. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And as always, guys, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.